and then to talk about to fall camp, obviously full pads the other day, and it felt like once full pads got on, the defensive line maybe ramped up even more, where I thought the offensive line had competed relatively well through the past couple of practices, and then when the full pads got on, it felt like the defensive line really won that day.
Yeah, and for me, same thing. No, on Monday for me, I thought the offensive line was really trending in the right direction and starting to kind of round that corner. The protection was well. The offensive line was looking better. The offense as a whole was looking better. And then fast forward to Tuesday, man, and it was abysmal from that O-line, man. The defensive line got the best of them, and it starts with Bernard Gooden. This is a guy who's really flashed during camp, in my opinion. He's starting to make some big-time plays, big-time moves. It's a South Florida transfer that LSU got during the spring portal window, and Bernard Gooden has looked the part. This is a guy who's competing for first-team reps in a big-time way alongside Dominic McKinley. So he's flashed, and he's giving this offensive line fits. And you can say the same thing about Jack Pyburn coming off the edge, the Florida transfer who's really having his way so far this offseason. We saw it during spring camp to a certain degree, but, man, he's having a big-time fall camp as well. So it's kind of twofold, right? You can sit back and say, well, is the defensive line just that good? And is that why they're giving the offensive line fits? Or is there that much improvement that needs to be made upon the offensive line? So you can kind of look at it two different ways. For me, man, after that Tuesday performance, I kind of got to sit back and say there's a lot of kind of moves that need to be made upon the offensive line in order for them to reach that next gear.
Yeah, and the next thing I'll ask you is these transfers that they've added on defense mostly, they brought all those guys in to be impact players, and I feel like that's kind of been confirmed so far throughout fall camp that almost every transfer defensively that they've brought in is a guy that's going to make an impact for LSU in 2025.
Yeah, man, undoubtedly. I think it starts with obviously players of Jack Pyburn's caliber, Patrick Payton starting around the corner as well, and Brian Kelly alluded to that during his press conference the other day. In the secondary, Mansour Delane can be penciled in as a starter in one of those cornerback slots. So those are three guys that have definitely stood out throughout fall camp so far on the defensive side of the ball. And you can even go to the safety position where A.J. Halsey is starting to make some moves with the first team defense. So they went in the portal and they had a plan to obviously attack it with force, but also get some versatility out there as well. And we're starting to see that where guys are being lined up in different spots and making some big-time plays, big-time impact. And Brian Kelly knew, man. He knew that going into the offseason, it was all about going out there, getting double-digit guys, getting guys that can come in and really play in 2025 and make a significant impact. We're starting to feel that during fall camp. And I think as the intensity ramps up even more, we're going to get a bigger feel for what these guys are truly all about.
Yeah, and then other newcomers on this team, not the transfers, but freshmen, who do you expect to be? Obviously, Harlem Berry and DJ Pickett are guys that everyone expects to have an impact on this team. But there are other names that have kind of started to float around, especially Carius Kern on the offensive line. How many other freshmen outside of Berry and Pickett do you think are going to serve a role on this team in 2025?
Yeah, man, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you talk about Carius Kern. This is a player that needs to be in the game. And for me, I think he needs to be playing guard. I think they're putting him in as left tackle right now behind Tyree Adams with the second team. But I think his bread and butter is going to be on the interior offensive line where he can really make an impact. And during practice, we're seeing that interior offensive line get exposed in a big way. Obviously, Bernard Gooden's playing a big-time role in that. But I think if you can shift Carius Kern inside and really allow him to flourish and play that natural position of an interior offensive lineman, that's where he'll get some big-time playing time in year one. So aside from Pickett and Berry, Carius Kern's one that I'm circling as a guy who really should see the field in year one. Another guy that's really impressed me, Noah, is Charles Ross. He's playing the star role. He's one of the backups behind Harold Perkins. And I think his bread and butter is going to be on special teams in year one. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some run when it comes to those, non-conference, mid-major games that they have this year, just so he can get his feet wet. He'll likely redshirt in year one. But I love what Charles Ross can bring this team, man. He's put on some size. He's quick, twitchy. He's fast. He was a track star in high school in Texas. So Charles Ross is one that I'm really circling as a guy who can make an impact too eventually. Just love the physical tools that he has. And he's really kind of looked the part so far during camp. And like I said, put on some size this offseason. So that's one that I'm looking at.
And then on the intensity and competitive nature, is that something that you feel like, not that it hasn't been a thing at past camps, but it feels like it's being really maximized and increased so far in the 2025 fall camp?
Yeah, dude. I think when we were back out there on Tuesday, it seemed like a fight was just ready to brew. It just seemed like these guys in the trenches were ready to make a play and kind of get in each other's faces. And sure, it's the heat, man. Like, you get out there, I'm out there writing notes, and I'll keep it PG. I'm getting frustrated just because I'm so dang hot. So I can imagine what it's like just sitting there hitting pads with people 24/7. So it gets frustrating, obviously, I get it. But the intensity's been upped in week 2, and you can feel it out there on the practice field just watching it. You see guys like Trades Green and Harold Perkins going at each other in one-on-ones, and Trades Green getting the best of Perkins on one of the plays, and them two kind of jawing at each other. So it's exciting to see. I think you got to have that competitive nature in order for this team to flourish in 2025, and you're starting to see it. You're starting to feel it in camp so far. The intensity's being up. They're kind of getting past that kind of getting acclimated period. Now they're starting to kind of up the intensity and hit that next gear in camp. So for me, it's been solid to watch, and I think the rest of week 2 into 3 is going to be even more intense.
You mentioned the heat, but how can we complain when Buddy Sanji's out there still kicking and doing it?
Man, Buddy is just one of the most unique individuals I've ever met. He is the best. This is a guy who he's up there, man. He's up there in age, but he's kicking it out there. He's writing his notes. Him and I are talking ball every other day. Man, I'm sitting back there in my 20s and I'm complaining about the heat, and Buddy Sanji's out there kicking it, sweating his you-know-what off no matter what. So, yeah, I can't complain too much when I'm sitting there next to Buddy, who's doing his best as well out there.
They moved the 7-on-7 period to the other field. He goes, oh, hell, LC, I got to putter my ass over there.
Man, I would say the same thing. We're sitting out there in the shade, and life was sweet. I'm sitting back there. I'm like, all right, man, like, we're in the shade. I can kind of cool off for a little bit, blow the little horn, and then we got to go out there to the other side of the field. I'm like, oh, damn, like, here we go again. Now I got to go sit down there and just burn, man. I'm a pasty guy, so I'm sitting out there just burning. So, yeah, it's hot out there, man. It's hot. So I'm getting frustrated out there baking like a cookie, and these guys are sitting there hitting each other head on. So I can only understand the frustration that they've got.
Yeah, no, it is a war zone out there. You bring up the name Harold Perkins. It feels like he's kind of unlocked that next gear and looks like he really is very comfortable in the role in which they've put him in at the star position so far through camp.
Yeah, I think the word that I'm starting to use when I talk about Harold Perkins is completeness. I think you're really starting to see him piece it all together and become more of a complete player. And it's that versatility that he has that Blake Baker is really salivating over. The ability to line up on the edge and wreak havoc in the backfield. And then he can also drop back in coverage. And obviously the talk of the town on Monday was him kind of baiting Garrett Nussmeier into that interception. It was kind of the highlight of the day. So for me, I'm starting to see that completeness from Harold. He's starting to piece it all together practice by practice. The physical aspect, we knew that he has. I mean, this is a freakish athlete. But the mental side of things is really what I've been waiting to see. When you're coming off of an ACL injury, it's going to take time to trust yourself and trust to make those quick, twitchy plays. And I think we're starting to see him trust himself even more on the field into week 2 of practice. So been thoroughly impressed with what Harold Perkins is doing. The completeness aspect is what's really taken me by surprise so far, just because he's doing it so quickly. So I'm very intrigued with what he can do in 2025. I think fall camp's obviously just kind of a little tidbit of what he can do. I think as fall camp continues moving on into week 1 at Clemson, you're going to start to see the entirety of what Harold Perkins can be. And that's a star. No pun intended. I know that's his position, but this is a guy who we know is a defensive weapon. And Blake Baker knows that, and he's going to put him in the right spot.